All right, so now we are recording, and this is our like second lecture of this week, and we have got a few interesting things to follow up today. And the first thing, if you have seen maybe that I've uploaded the assignment number 2, and this week's contents and maybe next week's content, they will be very helpful for you in making that assignment. So we will be going through that type of. So this is the document that you see over here, and you remember that we talked about this is one document that you will be needing. That is the script that we wrote like started in the last class. So you see that we started from the concepts of some ECMAScript, ES6, JavaScript engines. We talked about V8 and all those things. We've talked about syntax. It's a case sensitive. We talked about the functions. And I said there are three types of function: declarations, expressions, and arrow functions. And you had a practice questions as well on that class. Then we talked about that it's a very flexible in this terms of variables and things like that. And then we just reached to somewhere over here. We talked about the backtick, my favorite. And so then we just came all the way to some functions. We defined some of the functions. We talked about arrow functions and things like that. And that was the end of Monday's session, right? I hope you anyone uh, can anyone open AS2? Is AS2 available, or I have just given some date maybe for some timing to it open it? Okay, Mustafa, I'll let you know. Looks like just set up this time to open sometime maybe today, right, Mustafa? So please don't worry about that. I will let you know, but it will be open today, by the way, by all means, right? Okay, so today we are starting our like same concept that we started over there, and now we will talk about some of the interesting functions, interesting things that we can do with the strings. When you talk about a website these days, it's all like it all boils down to the data that you have for your websites. You need to have a lots of amount of data, and you need to work on lots of amounts of data. You get this you hear this term of big data, and the data flowing in trillions of terabytes per seconds. When a plane just takes off and until it goes down, there are lots of trillions of terabytes of data, millions of terabyte data which is producing. So you need to work on data. So today what we'll talk about in JavaScript, because JavaScript is one that special thing that would give you this facility of working on your data. You get data in a very very dirty form, like there are inverted commas, there are spaces, there are whole bad lots of things, and you want to just clear that data. You want to just you want to just work on that in a way that it's a refined data, and you don't need to work on that. So I'll be trying to discuss those few things over here. And let's start with a very interesting quotation. The best. I'm just writing like again, you can use let or var, whatever. I'm just using var, so you can use var s1, for example. The best sound in this world is your name. I just intentionally put a comma over here. So I've just defined a string, and we'll try to play with this string today. So today it's our start of our Thursday session, and we'll be playing with this string, right? So let's start with something very basic. For example, if I ask you to write a function, and maybe just before that, if I say var uh, words equal to s1 plus this, you remember we have talked about that. So what does that mean? What will happen? And of course, you know that it will just log me if I log the words, and if I run that, for example. So you see that what will happen? Node script.js. So if you see that the best, I hope you can see that the best sound in this world is your name, and it has a period attached to it. What do you mean by period? Like it has a dot attached to it. So you can just you know that how many ways are there to concatenate something into a string. Not to discuss, we have discussed about that as well, and you know that I talked about that backtick notation. If you want to use that backtick notation, what you will do is that you will just simply do that, this one, curly braces s1, and you will put a dot. That also will give you the same result. Make sense? So now it's basically adding a period to it, making it a sentence towards the end. Now, so there are different ways of doing that. So if I ask you to just for example, if I ask you to write a function that will do it for you, like with the name of add period or something. So let's talk about a function. Let's talk about a function, and we can make function by all those three methods which we have discussed. It can be a function declaration. So here what I'm doing is that I am using it as, add period, right? And it will accept any string, for example. So add period function, I'm talking about this as add period function. So if you are calling this add period, and I'm talking about, again, I'm right now making a function declaration. You remember, return what? S plus single quotation this dot, right? This is a function. When someone will call this function, it will return with what? With the with a dot, with a period towards the end of it. Let's call this one, and I'll let you know because why I'm using this. Console.log, and for example, I call add period, and I pass s1. So because s1 is the string that I want to process it. Now save that one and run this. So you see that I'm getting that, there is no period after that. So if I call this function, it will add a period to that one, right? So we can have that one. Now how about this one? If I just write something, if I pass a dot with it, so concatenation, s1 will be concatenated with dot before calling the function. So I'm calling the function after concatenating it with a string, with a dot, right, with a period. Now just run it. What has happened? Anyone in the chat window? Now 2 dots are there, and of course that is not desirable. I don't want to just have a 2 dots after this, and I want it to have just something. So we can handle that as well. 2 dots. Yes, Gurpinder, you are right. There are 2 dots, 2 periods, and I don't want those 2 periods over here, right? So let's talk about, yes, the first came from the function. Yes, of course, this one when I was calling, I had automatically concatenated a dot, and this dot, the second dot, is coming from where? From the function. That function is being providing it, and that has been just added to that one, right? Okay, so I will talk about that. I'll talk about that. Let's see. Let's try to handle this situation. If I want to handle this situation, what I'll do? See here. What I'll do is I'll say if s. Oh, sorry, not capital. Oh, that is something different that I want to do. I will tell you about when I'll start discussing those functions that can just go over there and find out if there is a dot or not. I will just tell you those functions. I just misread that one. So for the time being, that this might happen. Okay, let's do one thing before that. And I'm coming to those functions as I talked about that from the string, there are lots of ways from which we can find out that whether their string is ending at some particular period or it is not ending at some particular period. So I will talk about that one, but let's first discuss about that. So if I pass it s1, I'm passing it s1, and if I run that one, missing a bracket, I'm missing a bracket. Yes, thank you, missing a bracket. So let's run that one. So you see that it's giving me a dot. You remember that we have talked about that if for example, if I don't pass anything to it, I'm not passing anything at all to it, right? What will happen? Let's see. I'm not passing any parameters to it. You see what we get?
Undefined.
Undefined, you remember? Because s, there is no s, and the undefined, because we have not passed anything else. So this undefined has been concatenated with a dot. It's not an error. Jeshal, if it is Jeshal, it's not an error. It's basically something that I have not provided something. So it can happen that you are not providing any string. You remember in last class we talked about that if you pass one string to a string, that it would be just keep on doing that. Okay, yes, you are right for that bracket. And what about this one? If I pass it one value, what will happen now? If I pass it one instead of a string, what will happen? One dot. That's very good. Why? Because we know that this does what? This does the concatenation, general concatenation of all those things. That's very good, right? So now, first of all, let's handle this one. That if user has passed a string, then do this concatenate, because I don't want this one dot. This one is something illegal. So what I was trying to do over that time was not handling the dot, but rather handling the issue of this. If s, If S has been provided, then return S plus single quotation dot, right? If user has provided a string, then return a string plus concatenation, right? Or if user has not provided, maybe you can take any decision on that, and you say that if user has not provided, you say that, for example, return only dot, there is no S, for example. So now see, now it won't give an undefined value or of course the undesired value. It's now doing what? It's not taking a decision on the basis of the string. If the string is coming, it is doing S dot. If the string is not coming, it will replace dot, because I'm calling this one name one. Now if I call it without S, see here, so you see it's only replying the dot. So now a little power has come in my head. If user is calling a function without providing anything, I can just display some other message. So like dot, I can say like no parameter given, right? For example, if I say no parameter given, so I want to say that basically user will get a very legitimate user that you have not given a parameter while calling a function, right? So it's up to you that what you want to implement on that if and elsing, right? Now let's talk about those functions as I was saying. So let's for the time being, let's go to a browser window. I want to show you a few things, and then we'll use them. So now go to inspect, and your console will be working. As I said you that we'll be working both in console and everything. Just clear it out. So we have got a clear console. I want all of you to have this clear console now. Now if we do something here, S1 equal to let's copy that same. We will be just using this string today. Now let's copy that one. So string one has that. So there are different properties that we have talked about, and now today I will be talking about some of the interesting properties. For that I was saying. So if I say if I say s1 dot length, I'll get 42, and we have talked about that a lot. That we can find out the length. Okay, if I say s1 of 0, what will be the output? Of course, t. So I can have the first value. I can just extract out first value. If I say s1 of 1, for example, if I want to know, so the next letter is coming. So it becomes an array of characters. Whenever you just define that string, so it becomes an array of character, and you can access each individual element by using this technique. Number one. Number two, I can do one thing. S1. So S1 dot length, right, minus 1. What have we got here? Can anyone tell me what has we got here? The logic that I've used, what it is giving me? The last character, Brock. This is good. And I'm taking you to that part, that how can you check in a string that whether last character is a dot or not. So I'm trying to take you over there. So there are different functions that we can use to find out some different things as well. For example, you can say s1 and dot, you can say s1 dot char add, character add. You can find out what is the character specifically to some location. For example, randomly I'm saying what is at 22, for example. So at 22 there is a space. Check, you can check this 1 2 3 4 5 6. Of course 22 will be lying somewhere here in the space. Let me just change that so that we can see the difference. Okay, let's talk about 23. So you see W, it means this space is here, 22 is there. So char add, character add. What you can do is that you can always find, yes, S1, you are Aravind, you are right. S1 of 41 will give us the last character, right? Very good. So as Aravind has mentioned, of course, if you do something like this, you will get the last character. But again, S41 is not the appropriate way of doing it. This is the most appropriate way of doing the Aravind. Why? Because we don't know what is the length of a string, and it's not always that you will be getting that string. String would be different, of course. That makes sense, Aravind, what I'm saying? Okay, and then we have some other functions as well. Let's talk about some other functions. Very interesting functions. I've cleared that, and one of them is s1 dot index of. S1 dot index of. For example, I want to know index of name, where this name is starting. So now if you see, let me just type that S1 over here. So now you see S1 dot index of name. Where is the name starting? So name has this 38 value, right? I can check what S1 dot index of, for example, E. I want to know the index of E, right? So it's giving me index of E, but this is giving me only the first index of E. So this is 2, for example, 0, 1, 2, first occurrence. Yes, Jeshal, this is only giving the first occurrence, right? And if I write something like that, index, last index of, you see there is another function, last index of E. You know how many methods are there to reach to a particular letter or a particular something? Everyone is with me? I hope you're understanding what I'm trying to make you, like where I'm going to take you. That's very good. That's very good. That's very nice. That's very nice. Okay, so let's talk about that function that we were talking about. Hopefully everyone is with me and typing that as well. Now I'm going back to my this one, and now here I want to work on that same thing that I was talking about. So there one method can be, I can see one thing. I can see, for example, if I say, for example, last position equal to, I can calculate last position here. If I say s dot length minus 1, can I do that? S dot length minus 1. Now what I want to say is that uh, go and find out the last position of the last position letter. So we will have the last positions index in last pos. I hope everyone is getting that. Now let's remove it, and I will just write it from the beginning so that everyone understands that. If someone needs the code, please let me know, or let someone else know, maybe Tim or someone. They can just copy and paste whatever they're typing, so that if someone is left behind, they can check that. Okay, so now I know the last position of the length of the character. I know what is the last letter. I am right now handling that same thing that we have talked about, that if there is already that there is always. So please, if someone can help me out, who is quick in typing, who is typing alongside me, whenever we are done with that, they can just paste that code in chat, because I usually I'm just discussing and I don't get the time to do that. I'll be very thankful if someone can just quickly, alongside us, and can type that code in our chat window. Anyhow, so I know that the last position characters, like I have the number of last position, be it name or be it E, be it whatever. What I can do here is I can do s dot char at. I will check the character at what? Last position. Equal, and rather, you remember we talk about 3 equals over here, so that there is no confusion left on anyone's part. So see here, if that is a dot, so you return only s. Else return what? S plus dot. Right? So let me just quickly paste only function code, and then you can just call this function always, and we can run on that. So let me just quickly do that. And if someone can do that, but I'll be very happy. But right now I'm doing it. So if you can just, when we are done with something, you can just mention it over here. So now you see here, it says that if someone is calling with a dot, for example, you remember, if I call it with only what is S or S1? If I only call it with S1, like my given string, this one, best sound. So if I just call this one and run this, I will get a single dot. And how about this one? When I call it S1 plus single quotation dot, and I save it and I run it, what you see here is still we are getting one dot. I am expecting everyone to understand that why it is returning only one dot now. Why not 2 dots? Because we have calculated the last position, and after, like, first of all, we have calculated the last position, and after calculating last position, we have found out what character is at that location. If that location contains a dot, return simply the string, because that already has a dot inside it. That statement is already ended. But if that statement is not already ended, it means that again there is not that it's not a dot at the end. So do what? Do just go and else return s plus dot. Does that make sense to everyone? And what are the different ways of finding this last position character is? It's a very interesting concept. We can just we can just do a lots of things over here. I hope everyone has done that. So now I will just comment this one and I'll tell you that how many different ways we can use that. You see, sorry. You see what I can do? What I can do is I can check that if S of last pause, because I have got the last pause, last position. If last position equals single quotation dot, I can do that even. You understand? That is also very legitimate because I've got the last position. I'm not getting any responses from you people. Are you people not understanding anything, or you are understanding everything? That has two meanings. Okay, that's good. That's, oh, Dharani says too fast. Okay, Vanin, no problem, no problem. Okay, Dharani, I will just try to be a bit slow. Good. That's good that you have not s dot char add is erroring and that it is a function. Okay, so you know that you need to have that A capital first of all. Yes, A capital. Linux has given the right. Yes, last index is equal to last position. Oh yeah, that's good. Jeshal says that there can be another way of doing that. So Dharani, we are talking about that we could have done this by this way, which we have used already. We could have done this by this way, and one of them shared by the Jeshal. I will copy that Jeshal's one. So Jeshal, I can copy your code and I can just see here. For example, we can do something like this even. If s dot last index is equal to last position, and I can just comment this out. Dharani, are you getting that? Oh yes, s dot slice last position. Linux, I'm very happy that now you people are coming up with all the methods. There are lots of methods with that. And there are other methods as well. We can discuss some other methods as well. But first of all, I would like okay, Dharani, now you are done with that and you understand these are the three methods of doing the same thing, of checking the same thing. This is shared by someone, Jeshel, and these two we have discussed. That's very good. That's very good. And I'll be just keep on switching from this to that, so that we can even do another thing. There are other functions also. Let's see who comes up with that. Ends with. Does it ends with, for example, if I say, does it ends with world? Does this S1 ends with end? No, this is false. Does this end with name? Yes, this is true because it's ending with name. Even we can do that on the character level. Does it end with N? False. Does it end with, sorry, S1 dot ends with, does it ends with, for example, it ends with E, because we have got that in the memory background. Yes. So we can do that on the word or on the word level or on the letter level as well. Right. Everyone is good with it? Now, if you are good with it, let's summarize this function. Mustafa does not like my next thing what I'm about to do. So if you understand these functions, let's talk about something interesting. I can now completely combine that function into one line of code, just one line of code. See here, I don't even need this one now. I don't even need this one now. I'm commenting that out. So now see here, let me close this function over here so that we can see the difference, and I will close that function here, right? Right. Oh yes, Jeshal, you are right. So ternary operator, we can always use ternary operator. Yes. So return, you say s dot maybe ends with, right? And you do a dot. If it ends with a dot, ternary operator, question mark. I hope you remember. Return what? S. Otherwise, return what? The backtick and $sign and S and a dot over here. Now this will make our life easy. Our line function. Thank you very much, James. James has given a very good definition. James, yes, that depends upon you. So this can be the all function can be converted into one line function, one liner, and that one liner is over here. So Dharani, I'm copying that function's code now. S dots end with dot, return S, or if that is not the case, you return what? $S. Right. So is that right? Okay. Now I would like to, so there are lots of functions with this string, and we can use these functions and to strings to our own good. Whatever you want to do, you can always do with that type of something. So if you see here, let me just go back there, and I don't want to just save that one. So s1 dot to uppercase, right? So it will just, for the temporarily it is doing, so it will just convert your all string into the uppercase. To lowercase, you can do that, s1 dot to lowercase, lowercase. So you call that function and it will just convert that. Oh, that's very good, James. James has come up with the arrow like notation. That is James, that's very good. You are very right. Now that is become a one line because now James has used that arrow function, and that's very good. So James, only thing just that looks like a bit wrong here is that you have not used the curly braces. Rather, you have used square, or maybe it's for the reason. I don't know. The rounded brackets you have used. I think you are trying to just collect those complete line into one word, maybe. So have you checked that one, James? Have you checked that one? It's a one line. I can just use the direct return. Ah, yeah, I know. Yes, I know that you can. We discussed that one line can be returned without any return statement. But I'm just only looking for that your like rounded bracket parenthesis. Anyhow, if it is working for you, that's good to know. Okay, so right, that's very good. So you can always try that out. Okay, there is a slice function. Someone mentioned that slice function as well. If I say 8 to 12 slicing, for example. So now in this best sound, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, for example, this is the 8 position sound, 0, it starts with 0, and SOU. So from 8, it has, from 8 to 12, it has just sliced over. So you can always take out one part of the string. So there's a slice function in you have that you can always use, and things like that. Right. So let's use this slice function maybe in one of the program, and I will just keep that one. This function I will just comment out. So we have got all those comments over here. You can always just check them, and this function function will be available to you, to all of you. Right. So you see in our S1, if you see that we have got one comma, for example, over here. Right. So we can do what we can just slice our sentence from the comma. We can just slice our sentence from some particular value. We can just place anything. So there are lots of things that you can do in that. For what I will just ask you people to go into that rather than just doing that. I will ask you to have a look at all these functions and methods available over here, functions and properties over here. There's a split one that starts with the strike, substring. You can find out a substring out of a string, and there is a two lowercase, two uppercase, trimming, and something like that. So you can just all do all this. Left trim, right trim is there, and there are certain functions that you can always use, right? So these are the functions that we have. So you can always go and try those functions out. And might be I will be looking at if I can give you a quick introduction of yes, string functions I'm talking about. If I can give you a quick introduction of some of them in some of the program. Right now, I want to discuss something very interesting and very important, and that is arrays. Let's discuss about something about arrays in specifically. Arrays in JavaScript are of dynamic sizing. You remember in C language, you are bound to tell, if you are not doing dynamic memory allocation, you are bound to tell that size of the array before even you start your array. So, but here arrays are of very yes, list of values we are talking about. So if you say array 1 equal to nothing. Now if you see array 1 has nothing, it has been without a value, and we can add values to it. So there are certain function, I'm just talking about those functions. There is one function which is called push. I can push one value in it, array 1. I can push another value in it. I will be just pushing that sequence value so that we can know, and I can push another value. Right now, if I check array 1, you see my array has 3 values. Flexible, isn't it? Like you have an array that does not include anything, and you can always just add those elements. And as we can add those elements, we can delete them as well by using pop function. Pop 3 has been popped. Now if I check array 1, you see now 3 has been popped. Now anyone from you Anyone from you? How can I add a number to the beginning of array? Because you know what it is doing, array of one. If you see, it's adding values to the like to the back side of it. If I push a value, array one dot push, and if I say push three, no, push is adding towards the end. Brock, I'm asking that I want to add this three before one. Okay, Linux has come with that definition. Shift. If I add shift four, unshift, sorry, unshift. If you do unshift and four, now you see what is array one. Four has come to the top. And Linux, if you know unshift, you would be knowing shift as well. If I want to delete some value from the top, yeah, like from the first value, we use unshift. Sorry, shift. Right, the four has been shifted. If I check array one, now let me tell you this push and pop. I hope you people know what is push and pop. Can anyone tell you where this push and pop have come from? If I push it, stack. Jayshel is saying stack. Everyone familiar with this stack we've talked about? Like, last in, first out. So we use this push and pop operation as we do in LIFO. Yes, last in, first out. So this type of operations we do in our stacks. And the other type that we are doing is that if you want to insert something at the start, or if you want to insert something at the bottom, like from the downside, from the left side, from the right side. So you have got all these methods over there. I'll just clear that. Right. So everyone is clear. So again, and one another thing that I can do, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can implement some functions as we were talking about the functions. Includes, right? So includes will tell whether this value is included in or not. 3 is included in an array or not. We have got array 1 as well. So I can check array 1 dot includes. Does it include 10? So false. Array 1 does not include 10. Array 1 is here. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? So includes function is there that you can always do to just check. FIFO is Q not. Yes, FIFO is Q. Shipra, FIFO is Q. First in, first out is Q. Last in, first out is a stack. And push and pop operations are specifically concerned or related with our stack. And what are the operations in Q? Jason, can you tell me the operation name in Q? The insertion operation and deletion operation? But it's a quite an easy name. It's quite an easy thing. Inserting something in Q is called, anyone complete my sentence? No. That front is the part from where we insert. No, not push. In Q. Jashil, thank you. And how about deleting something? DQ. Right. Thank you. There are too much U in your Qs. So you had to have only 2 U's. Right? DQ, and this after E, last U is not there. So I will just write a program, and I will check if the last letter of your word is U, I will just delete that. Right? I will just remove that. Anyhow, oh yes, so that's very good. So I hope you people are getting this concept of this like a array, and we are talking about this array and things like that. Now let's talk about another interesting thing. Var names equal to. Let's take few names randomly. Alex, Bob, Charlie. So my favorite, because they becomes ABC. Oh, how to declare an empty array? I'll let you know. So we have done that. Yes, Jashil has helped us out. We can declare something like that, and we have already done that. Yes, in JavaScript also. Sachita, this is the way of defining it in JavaScript. Okay, so I've defined names. Now I've defined another one, names 2 equal to, or maybe names 2 equal to names. You get. I'm just trying to understand, like trying you to understand something very interesting. Names 2. If I print names 2, has it the same value that is name? Of course, it is showing me the same value as it's in names, of course. Now let's do one thing. I am going into names, my first one. I have names and names 2. So I am going into names, and let me do something. Names of, names of 0 is what? The names of 0 value is Alex. Let's change this names of 0 value to Jayshil. Jayshil, forgive me if I'm writing the wrong spelling. Oh, sorry. Names of 0. Names of 0 equal to Jeshil. Right? So now if you check names, names has Jeshil, Bob, and Charlie, right? And how about names too? What will be names too? No. That is the something that I wanted you to understand, everyone. JavaScript, in JavaScript, when you define an array and you store that an array into another variable, that only copies, the address. You remember pass by reference in C language, passing by reference something. So it passes the reference of that array. That means now those two arrays, name one and name two, names and name one, name two, both are pointing to the same location. And now if you update names, names two will be updated as well. Right? Same. Let's check this one. Names of one. We know names of one is Bob, and let's change it to last name Shipra, for example, right? I just see the last name on the chat and I do that. So, oh, sorry, I've done that with the names again. So anyhow, we'll check that names two. So you see names two is also added, and I was talking about names two. Names two of two, for example, is Charlie, we know. So let's change it to last name Tim. I can see the Tim's name towards the end. Last name Tim. And now if I check names, so you see names is also updated. That means the summary that it always transfers the reference to the other variable. And why it is doing that? Because I did names two equal to names. So it has just done what? It has just transferred the reference of that and not the value of that. Right? So let's write a quick program of array. If we have many arrays related to names, then all will change. No, if you have many arrays not related to yes, if you have done all of these things that you have defined a new array, names two equal to names, names three equal to names, name four equals to name. Of course, you are binding them together. So if you are binding them together, Gurpinder, so all five arrays will start pointing towards yes, same location, and you will change one, everything will be changed. Why? Because you are passing the references, not doing anything else. Okay, so now let's come here and let's talk about, now I'm just getting rid of this one as well for the time being, because we have to start talking about the arrays. And I'm getting rid of this one as well. Make it a bit above, and let's do that. Right, so let's write a function maybe, or yes, function my array. In that my array, we'll just try to do something like that. So var ar1 equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever you can store, whatever values you want. So I've just stored one value, right? And now you just do one thing. And what we are very much used to of doing it, and you have done it already thousands of times. So I will just quickly var I equal to 0, I less than, for example, let's see, because here I know the values. So if I ask you, what should I write here? I hope now you people are so good in that. What should I write here? I is less than, because I want to print that. No. This is the condition part, Tim. This is the condition part. It's not the increment part. Yes. So what should come here? Oh, that's very good. Nikunj has come up with a very right answer, array.length. Now we are familiar with that one, right? Brock, you are right, but why 4 or 5? I don't know what length is coming from the array. Generally we can see that it's given here, but of course we say that we don't know what type of elements are there. So anyhow, array of lengths. I hope everyone understand that. I++. Now what you do is console.log, and you can just log out maybe I, for example, and array of I, array 1 of I, for example. Right? We can just out this values, and let's call this function, because I'm not passing anything. I'll just call, because I'm consoling that inside that function, so I don't need to worry about that. So you see here, now it is coming with the positions, with the values. At position 1, it's coming as like position 1, it's showing 2. Why it's showing 2 over there? I is equal to 0. I have one length. Oh, first of all, oh, it's okay. Why it's giving 1, 2? Scroll down. I am already scrolling down. So I is starting at 1 rather than 0. Why? Oh, scroll up, you say. Okay. Yes, I have scrolled up. Oh, expand your okay. Oh. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you very much. Oh, thank you very much. I'm sorry. So I was thinking that I'm getting that output. Thank you very much for all of them, Sachita. Thank you. Okay. So 0 is starting with 1 and 4 starting with 1. I don't know why. So it's basically what? It's basically just printing out that array, and those values have been printed out over here. Now let's talk about something which someone asked. I don't know about the length of the array, and I even don't know what are the values inside it. Of course, and we are saying that can we do some push in that element? And since there is no length and we are defining okay, first of all, let me just copy and paste that one for everyone, because sometimes people will be, I will just copy and paste this one, and I was expecting anyone else to do that, and sometimes people do that as well. So let's doing after doing that, let me just do one thing. We are defining an empty array, and since we have got the power of that, and I say that make an element of 100 values. For example, here I don't know the length of the array, and I want to just push something into it, right? So now what you do is that rather than just printing this out, you can do what? Array1 dot push, and you push an I to an array, for example, or maybe I plus 1, starting from the first value, I plus 1, just push that, right? So this is doing what? It will just populate this one with all the values, right? And here you can just write down one thing, array1. Let's check that one, right? So now let's run it. So you see here, we can see that we have got these 100 values over here, right? Starting from 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 up to 100. I've just insert. So you know how easy it has become with the dynamic nature of the array, that I can just do even 1,000 values, and very quickly it will do that. It will just show that it's 900 items are written. Maybe it will be just showing the 1,000 items, right? Everyone is getting that? This is one way of pushing elements. So I'm just copying that as well. Okay, now let's talk about another program, and let's try to do something more interesting in that. So write down function, and let's say that we want to print a function my string, right? We are just writing a function my string that will be working with the strings. So I say var words equal to, for example, I say I give it certain words. I want to give you some very interesting function, 2 and 3 and 4. So now it's an array of array of strings, like strings have been stored inside that, right? And I want to display that one. So how I will display that one? We will have certain different methods for displaying that. Not only for loop will be helpful in all situations, but we'll see that we can have some other loops as well. Var I equal to 0, the same way you start your variable, and yes, you have while as well, and there are lots of things. I less than words of length. Now you know that one, words of length, and I plus plus, right? So now what I want to do is that I want to just check that every word. So I want to print out every word over here. So now let's define a word in the singular form. I'm just defining a word and words of I. What I've done, take out one word from the words and store it in word singular, right? And print that. Console.log, and you print that word, right? So what we are doing, for every value, just go and find out the word and print that one. And let's call this function. Save this one and now run this one. So you see that what we have done. So I'm just telling you because of reason. So what we have done, we have just taken out these four values over here from the array, and we have just tear apart like that array and taken out those values into our one place, at one place, right? So there are different methods of doing it. Let me just copy and paste this one. Okay. Yes, Dharani, there is while as well, but there are some others as well than while. Let's talk about the other methods of doing it. There is one another function specific statement. It's called for off. This was the for loop that we have talked about. Now I'm talking about the for off. Let me just, rather than doing that, make it a comment. Okay, so let me make a comment so that you know. This is the method of for loop. We are talking about for loop. Now let's talk about another one, and that is for off. For off loop. Now what is for off? That's very interesting. For var word of words. Var word of words. So you need to check var word of words, and you need to do just a console log. And console log, and you say that word should be printed. Right? So let's see if that works. Works again. That's a bit compact than this one. How do you feel? Of course, this is a bit, or here also we could have done that words of I, that would have been done, but again, so we are just letting you know the different ways of just extracting out the word from that. So this is called for off loop, right? Let me just copy and paste that one for everyone. We are just changing the between the loop order. And the last but not least, last but not least, there is another method which is called for each. There is another syntax, or whatever you call it, that we can use for each. So now we here, it depends upon your situation, Sachita. Sometimes you may need to work on that, and you don't want to go into the length of type of things, and you say that whenever I will receive an array, I will just use a for off to just extract that everything out from the array. So that will save you from, again, even counting out the length of the array, and you don't want to just even calculate the. So it all depends upon you. Sometimes in certain situations, if you feel that for off will be far more better than that one, so you should go about that, right, Sachita? So that depends upon situations mostly, but again, it's up to you, that you can always use them for your ease, right? So last one is another one. Let's talk about this words dot. So I'm talking about the main words, like again, our main array. I'm talking about words for each, right? In bracket, pass a function, and you can write an arrow function. James, I will be waiting from you for the arrow function of this one, right? I will be waiting from James for the arrow function of this. So I'm defining a function, and this function will do what? Let me just do that. This function will do what? It will just console log word. Let's check whether it works or not. James, I'm waiting for the arrow function of that, which is very easy. You should write that. Okay, that's very good. So James has been helping us out a lot. So arrow function, James is doing something very serious. I wanted all of you, and I told you all of you that just try to make yourself familiarized with more and more with like this syntax, arrow and this arrow function syntax. So James, best of luck. Thank you very much. You have been doing a wonderful job today. All right. So last function for today, and then I'll take a break, and then we'll go for a quiz. And this will be the last thing that we'll be just talking about. And that is a very interesting function. Let's first use that, and then I'll let you know that what we are doing over here. Or maybe let's talk about this one. I'll comment this out, and I'll try to do that inside this same function. Right? I've just commented it out, and I want to do that. So we have got words over there, 1, 2, 3, 4. That is still there. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4. We have the words, and we want to do something interesting. Now you do what? Uppercase words. We want to convert them onto uppercase. Uppercase words equal to words dot map. So map is a very interesting function. We'll talk about the map today, right now. So in map, I'm passing a function. Again, you know that we are familiar with that. We are passing a callback function over here that will be called back. And now let's try to make this word function. And again, James, be ready for your arrow definition. arrow definition. Okay. So now what you need to do is that you will say return word dot to uppercase. What does that mean? And let's console that one as well. Console dot console dot log word. Oh no, not word. What we have to log here? Uppercase word. Uppercase words. Right? So log it over here. Save that and run that. You see here that you get your values in in capital letter. All of them have been capped together, capital letters together.
And is it array, right?
Yeah, it's an array. Of course, it's an array. It's, you know what it has done? It has taken that array and every letter has been mapped with something different. Has been mapped with something different. And after mapping that, something different means it has taken every word and it has done the uppercase to it. Are you getting that? It
Yep.
could have you could have done a lots of things with it. You could have done one more thing if you want. Just let's try that out. So there is an uppercase, and again, I'm just not changing the name of the name of the function. Let's check if it comes up with some value. So what it has done, it has calculated length of every word, and again, it's storing that in an array because why? We are just mapping each and every letter to some other one. James, thank you very much. James has come up with an arrow arrow function. That's very good. Return to uppercase or maybe something else. Jaishal, thank you very much. That's very good. So far, so good. Map function, Oh, yes. So what is the difference between map and for each and each? For each or slash each. So listen about that. For each is not meant for it's not directly meant to change something. It is there to run to a particular to a particular amount of value, amount of array values. So for each or for of or for loop, they do not have any specific working of changing something. They are there to run a piece of a list of values for the list of values. While as on the other hand, what map is doing, map really maps something with something else. I am mapping right now in my screen. If you see, who has asked this question? Nikunj, if you see that here, I am mapping every word of that words. Like I've taken single word. Each word is being mapped to something different. So that is again here I can change the type of it. I can change the case over here. I can change lots of things. If I say you, it's the same question to you. I make another var nums equal to 1 comma 2 comma 3 whatever value, not necessarily 1 comma, right? So I've just given these values. Now if I ask you, everyone, quickly, can you write a function by using map, by using the same method, that every value should be multiplied by 2? The output should be 2, 4, 8, 10 and 12. Can anyone write that? Quickly, you write that and then we'll go for a quick break. Yeah. Can anyone come up with a definition? Nikunj, you got my point. Map is mapping the values to some other values, and for each and for of all those are Mustafa. Okay, so Mustafa, yes, this map function, if you can just in your free time, you can Google that. When we want to implement some operation on every value, and that is basically what is key. What do you mean by key?
Map is a key value.
Oh yes. So what is the key over here? The key is 1 and the value will be 2. The key is 2. The value will be 4.
So my question is, in the middle of for each, why do we use map in that case? I can't find a connection between the difference between the use of for each and map. That's something else. I can't understand this.
Okay, so you feel that this for each and map, they are both the same?
No, I mean they are so much different. Why are we using it at the same context?
At the same time, are we using it same? I cannot understand. We are using it the same time right now. You mean to say?
No, I mean the same, you know, for for each context which
Mm-hmm.
we are using,
Mm-hmm.
we are using map as well for the
Yes.
same function, which
Mm-hmm.
we don't need the key value pair.
Right.
So why are we using map?
Okay. So first of all, looks like I'm not getting what you are saying. So you say that we are using the for each and map in the same function,
No.
which is not the case right now. If you look at my screen, that for each has been commented out. You see that?
Yeah.
First of all, let me clear my question for myself. That we are not using for each and map together right now. And what map is doing, just listen about that. Map is doing, it's creating another, for example, set of arrays or array that taking this words array and changing all these values and storing that on that particular array. So it's mapping all the values of word with something new, like something new. We were doing length, and we were doing before that we were doing two uppercase. So it is doing what? It is taking every value of the words, converting it to something else, and storing it in some other array. Now, for each, on the other hand, is not meant for convert, even though we can convert values in that as well. But for each is only there to traverse different values between a bit of a list. Hope that makes sense, Mustafa.
Of course. I mean, why are we using map? That's my basic question.
Okay,
Map
so
is a pair, an object with a pair of key values. So we
mhm,
are giving the map some key value pairs. And
mhm.
then when we give them the key, it gives us the value.
Yeah, yeah.
But why are you using it here in this case, in this scenario? That's what
Ah,
I don't understand.
I just want you to understand the concept of like this working of map, that if you have something in your situation where you have one array and you want to, yes, it's not the only use case of that map, but again, whenever you have an array and I want you to apply some operation on every element of that array, so and I want you to save that array into some particular location other. So you will say that, okay, if you want me to do that, what I'll do is that I'll use the map function, and map function will be doing what? It will be just generating all those values by having those keys from me, and then I will be storing those values over there in our in my uppercase words or whatever you have been storing. So again, as Jashul says, this is not only the use case. Of course, right now we are just looking at a one scenario, but there may be some other scenarios where you need to do them, right? The mapping of the functions. And someone has come up with a definition. Mustafa, I hope that you get a little sense of it. And if it's still in doubts, we can have maybe when we just scaffold, maybe you come to know that what was the situation over there, right, Mustafa? Okay, so Jaishal has come up with a definition where one num2 is equal to num1 dot map. Okay, that's good. So that's again, this is another case that you're just taking that and putting that. Okay, so let's take a quick break of 10 minutes, right? It's 11:02. So we'll be back at 11:12, and then we'll start our test for today, like quiz for today. And let's meet after 10 minutes.